Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to give a few minutes before we start because we just still have a few people logging in there. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat as well, if that's okay. That's great. Thank you. Just give it 2 or 3 more minutes there now, give everybody a chance. We'll just give it 1 more minute there now. Just to mention as well, I have my colleagues Ursula and Emer in the background here doing some little housekeeping. So you should have a tab to enter any questions in either the chat, or you can also enter them in the Q&A section across the top of your screen. If you at any stage you want to ask any questions, pop them in there and we can fall into those as we move along, or at the end of the session might be better. Also, just to mention, after the call today, please feel free to reach out to us, either Emer or myself. We'd be happy to get a call in the diary around your analytics. And I suppose one of the main reasons we're starting today and doing it in August is in preparation for your peak trading. I know some of you are only live with us a little while, so you may not have full analytics to relate to from last year, but some of you are live with AB Commerce quite some time and will be able to look back on last year's analytics to make some decisions for this year. So we'd be happy to support you on that as well. Give it 1 more minute there now and we will get going. The session is also being recorded today, so we will be distributing that after the meeting this morning. I'll pop it into all your inboxes. Okay, I think we will get going if everybody is okay with that. As I said, any questions, pop them in the Q&A box or the chat box and we can come to them at the end. And if there's anything you want to follow up directly with myself or Emer or any of the team on after this session, then please do. We're always love to hear from our retailers and get conversations going. I know it's a busy period, summertime with holidays and members missing, but we know you're coming into the busiest period now as well. So happy to get those calls in the diary. So I'm going to share out my screen. Some of you may have been at our AB Commerce Summit in Glasson Lake House in April and may have seen some of this presentation previously. But I wanted to touch base on our new analytics screens. Again, for some of you, I know you are live with a while and your analytics screens have changed. For some of the rest of you on this call, you're brand new to Magico, brand new to AB Commerce, and these screens are just the screens that you're familiar with. So hopefully you'll get some extra confidence in using these screens as we move forward. And as I said, we're here to touch base after this call directly with your own figures. For the purpose of today's session, we are using a demo site that we have. So these figures may look a bit simplistic for you, and that is because it's not massively realistic numbers, but the examples I'm going to show you will hopefully spark some ideas in terms of your own personal figures and making decisions from that. Those of you that are live with us for quite some time and that are, have regular calls with us, be it quarterly, monthly, bi-monthly, that reporting is one of our biggest areas that we know most of our retailers fall down on, and it falls to the bottom of the list. And I suppose we just want to reiterate that looking at your numbers, knowing the data, that's how you make smarter decisions. You can optimize your marketing spend from working through your analytics. You can improve your products and your inventory across your site and in store as well. We have a lot of retailers that will cross-reference A/B commerce analytics versus their EPOS analytics as well and make smarter decisions based on that. Also, you can also enhance your customer experience from looking at your analytics. What products you're selling with what products, is there a section that you feel like you fall down on that you might want to improve on, but actually you'd have thought it was doing really well. You also, obviously, the number one reason that most of retailers look at your analytics is to track growth and set goals. But the biggest thing that we're finding most retailers are realizing in the last 12 to 18 months is profitability isn't as straightforward as we think. And hopefully adding these analytics into your forward thinking and your overall planning will help in terms of that as well. And just in terms of, I suppose, looking at your analytics on a regular basis, you also can uncover really good opportunities, like, that link back to everything I just said, be it improving customer order value, customer experience, increasing your conversion rate. Everything links into each other and, everything has to come full circle. Just two elements that I want to mention in terms of accessing your dashboard. So as you all know, when you log in, you land straight on dashboard. Just as well, actually, just to mention, there's a couple of different permissions around analytics and stuff like that. We always recommend that, majority of the internal core team to your e-commerce section or department would have access to this, because you can't figure out, if it's somebody doing marketing, you can't figure out if your marketing is working if you can't see the analytics based on that. So that would be just something we would recommend. Obviously, it is at your own discretion. But if there's anybody on the call that doesn't have access, we can link in with the main point of contact in your establishment, and we can set that up if that is agreed upon. So you land straight on your dashboard when you log in. You can also go to marketing and analytics and A/B commerce analytics. That will bring you into the details section of those reports. To get to these reports from your dashboard screen, you can just click on the blue buttons across these three items, which I'll delve into in a second. So just a quick run through on the main dashboard page. So those of you that run our legacy dashboard will know that we didn't have a date range, and it was very tied figures in terms of reporting: 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So there is that element that it expired then as well. So this is one of the biggest launches in this analytics platform. So we have a full date section on the top right hand corner. So just for this, the purpose of this call, I am going to say this year so far. You can also set your custom date range. So literally click on your start and your finish date. You can also compare, I'm just going to click back onto this. You can also compare it, which is the section that we would use most of the time when we're working with retailers and doing account calls. Now, again, if you're a new retailer, you won't have any preceding dates, but that will all come, and that's the exciting part. So here you have a couple of different options. So you can say the preceding period, so it's the same period as before, the same period last year, or a custom date range. A lot of our retailers give us feedback on this, that they find it very helpful in terms of if they have a sales rep coming in from a brand and they're giving them offers or they're asking questions, and you want to check how that brand, product, or area of the store has done online for the same period that offer may have been on previously. So a lot of people would use the date range for that. For the purpose of this, I'm actually going to go with the same period last year. I really like that to get a very broad overview of the site. So I'll just click apply there. So you'll see then that my KPIs now have percentages underneath them. And albeit, remember, this is dummy data, and these are not the most positive of comparisons, but it is there for a reason, and on your own sites it'll make a lot more sense. So you can see the total revenue. These are all the main KPIs that you want to know at a glance. So you have your total revenue, your sessions, your conversion rate, your total orders, items ordered, and your average order value. And you can see the percentage comparison underneath each of those from January to August this year versus January to August last year. Then when you move on to your more detailed reports down further, you will see that there is no comparisons there, but when we jump into those, you will see the comparisons, which we'll get to in just a second. So you can see your sales over the last 7 days, which again, depending on your position in the overall establishment or online, you know, in terms of executives who wants to see what. So executives might want to just see your strategic KPIs. Your middle managers might want to see more tactical metrics, you know, your operational leads need to see the day-to-day metrics. But that's why we keep in the sales for the last 7 days. If you just need a glance, that is there for you, and it gives you all the important figures for that. You then have your top categories, which we have broken into a pie chart. Again, dummy data, so those smaller categories are a little hard to see there, but on your own sites you will see a more realistic view. And you have your top brands, your top products. You'll also see that we just have a couple of key reports down here on these blue buttons. They were legacy reports. They are included in our new report, but some people liked the value of the older style, so we have kept those in as well for you, just if you need to see those. So what we're going to jump into first is your product analysis. And so I'm just going to jump in there to get a deeper view into your product analysis. So you'll see the page has changed. You'll see my overall category, or my overall reports are listed down the left-hand side. You'll also see that there is this core section of data on the right-hand side, which is really, really valuable. So this is pulling your KPIs from your main page to keep with you the whole time you move through these reports. So you'll see your revenue, conversion rate, average order value, they're all listed there, and you'll see the percentage increase or decrease from the date period that you have selected. So that date period will also stay with you as you move through the session if you're looking at your analytics. So in terms of your top products, what information do we have available? Reminder, your date range is selected, so that is across the top. You will see entire information, so you can jump straight into your view product detail page. This error is coming up because this is not a real product detail page. Just don't be alarmed, yours will have a product detail page. So that gives you good insight into what is happening on that page. The reason we like to link to the product detail page is in case you spot something across these figures that you're like, wow, you know, let me pull out an example here now for you. So you will see that the measuring tape is 15% of your item views, but it's only 1% of your overall orders. Now, okay, straight away you're telling me, okay, a measuring tape doesn't cost that much. That's why it is only 1% of your overall revenue and 1% of your orders. The quantity sold is 37%. So that's all very positive. You know, you're not worried about, okay, what's going on that product detail page. Where you would need to jump into your product detail page is if your revenue is low, your views are quite high on a product, you need to question that, and you need to go into that page and you need to look at it from a customer perspective. We're happy to do that as well. We know better than anyone that if you're constantly looking at something, you don't spot the smaller elements. So that's where we come in. And that's where the account management calls are very helpful as well. Actually, you know, it could be the smallest thing that you just don't spot. And actually as well, internal teams are very good at that. Maybe not internal online teams, but if you've internal in-store member that'll just jump on and kind of review product pages or get them to shop your website as well. They will all have recommendations based on little elements that you may not see. So that is where we would, you know, take valuable insights from our reports. Is high views? Is there a low quantity sold? Why is that happening? Question it. In terms of the reports available for your products, this is all based on your revenue. You can also change the report to run on stock or add to basket analysis. I'll also share a link to the definitions of all these columns in the follow-up email after with the recording. So it's a very good support article on our support site, and it gives you the definitive detail on what those figures actually mean. Just we don't have enough time to run through that now today, but that is there for you. And if we are going on a call, we can have that scheduled as well into the conversation. So let's say if I am choosing the data set based on stock, you can then sort that data set based on your current price, item views, quantity sold, orders, revenue, and stock and the quantity sold per day. So that is just across the board there with your products. You can also export all of these detailed reports. So you can just click on this button here and it'll download a CSV file, which is very helpful as well for some retailers that cross-reference to their EPOS system. Then moving through our reports, you can go to your top categories. So some of you will just have a main category and a subcategory. Others will have a third level categorization as well. We don't have that on this. Again, it's a demo site. So your top level categories, your second level and third level, you can drill down that much into your analytics on these reports. So again, you can sort that by your category views, your item views, and your quantity sold and your revenue. All the reports are defaulted on revenue because I suppose that is one of the core indexes that most people will use in terms of success online. But again, we know that there's a lot of questions around that and around margin, profitability, etc. But just for the purpose of this session and for these reports, it's based on revenue. You'll see then down here you have a full list of your categories. Again, these are clickable links in case you want to review that category. So you will see your category views, your item views, quantity sold, revenue, subcategories, and top products. In terms of why and what you would use this for, a lot of our retailers will come to us, especially in pharmacy, they lean one way or the other. They might lean more towards beauty or they might lean more towards medical OTC. And, they're always coming to us, right, well, we're depending on this section, but I want to sell more in the other section. This is where this gets very valuable in terms of monitoring that and in terms of increasing that gradually. You're putting a lot more effort into marketing on your OTC versus your beauty. How are you going to monitor that? Right here, base it on your categories, drill down further then from your categories. And just a couple of examples here then as well. So I suppose you'll see that you can see your percentages based on the previous period, as I mentioned. So you'll see that there's positives and negatives across the board with this. So you have your hand tools is 73. So as well, this figure here is the total percentage of contribution to this revenue. And this percentage is the percentage change from the preceding period. So hand tools being 73% of the demo site's revenue is quite high. If I was in the hardware industry, maybe you realize, okay, hand tools is actually quite competitive. I'm spending a lot of money on my paid advertising to get that revenue to hand tools. But I know that safety gear is a lot easier to, number one, maybe distribute. Number two, might have a higher profit margin. And number three, might be less competitive in terms of what other retailers in your industry are doing. This is not a direct example for this industry, by the way. If I have any of my hardware power tool retailers on here, this is just an example and how you can use this example to implement it into your business. So your safety gear then is 1% of the total revenue. Again, this is just one figure. You could look at your category views, you can look at your item views, you could look at how many products you have in that category. Okay, right. We also hear a lot of the time, okay, I actually only have 20 products in safety gear online, but in store I have 200. And we're like, why don't you add that? If this is an area you want to increase your value on and it makes financial sense and profitability sense, then, these are the types of questions and realizations that you need to pull from your figures. In terms of how many times in the year to do this as well. Like sometimes people will only like do a really big review, a larger detailed review twice a year. You know, we see a lot of this in January. Okay, right, well, this was 2025. What do we want to do with 2026? What are our overall goals? What are our monetary goals? You know, that's where all of this comes in. So just, yeah, like that, if you want to increase the percentage revenue going towards safety gear versus your hand tools, how are you going to do that? You need to look at, okay, maybe delivery method is important. As I said, adding more product to the category is also important. And telling people that you have that category on the site and building up that reputation for that section. So that's just one example, and those are the types of questions that you should start to ask yourself while you're looking at your analytics as well. If we move through to your top brands then, oh, sorry, there was just one other thing actually that I wanted to show you there that I find very helpful. So obviously this is the top level category. So we want to look at your subcategories. Okay, so this is hand tools. I'm going to jump into the subcategories. Oh, that doesn't seem to be loading for me. So then obviously on your sites, again, this is demo data, you will see, okay, there's hand tools, right? So, you know, the subcategory might be a saw. So that subcategory will be your best performing subcategory. It'll jump down through those elements for you while on your actual site because it's actual data. You will also be able to see your top products within that category. So again, this is showing your top products, but it'll just show the top products from your hand tools category or your skincare category or your clothing category or, you know, relative to yourselves. It's definitely one that I think gets overlooked a lot by our retailers is looking into your subcategories and your top products as well. Top products within the category. Very interesting pages. Very interesting to see, okay, if you're looking at why would I use your top products in a category versus your overall top products reporting. So I suppose if you're looking at hand tools here and you have 5 core products from hand tools that are also appearing in your overall top products versus top products within hand tools, that is relating obviously back to revenue value, which is fine. But you might know that, okay, there's actually 5 other products that are in store that sell way better and they're not doing as well online. Why aren't they doing as well online? Is it a different audience? Is the page not optimized? Is it pricing? Ask those questions again. Is it something that you need to add extra information on? Do you need to flesh out the product description? Does it need extra imagery? Does it need a link to maybe a YouTube video that shows how you would use it? So they are all the types of questions that you have to ask. As well, for the new retailers that are kind of live maybe in the last 6 to 8 months in 2025, we know that there is a big rush on to get products onto the site to go live in place. So don't be afraid to go back to your products. Don't be afraid to think about the future products that are going to be added to your site and what are you going to do to make them better. Think about your end user. It can be a nuisance, it can be the slowest job, but we have the Ava description generator now. You can add in extra imagery at any stage as well. And if you need any support or just a quick overview, or if you'd like a conversation around a checklist about uploading products in terms of, right, what do I need on this page? We're happy to jump on an overview call for that as well. Just to move through then to your top brands. So again, very similar style report. There's obviously only one level in your brands, and you can sort that by your category views, your item views, or your quantity sold again. You can as well within your brands view the top products within that brand. You'll see the percentage of your total revenue, the percentage of your total quantity of items sold in that period, the percentage of item views, percentage category views, as well as the actual numbers. And then again, just a reminder, these figures down here then are the data set comparisons. So this year versus last year in this instance. Sorry, I meant to mention actually as well, these green and red, so that's showing you if they have moved up or down in the scale versus the last year as well. So that's kind of helpful just at a glance if you wanted to have a look at that. I know these are more detailed, but it's handy to have that as well. In terms of brands, the exact same thing. Question it. Okay, it's great to see, right? Oh, yeah, that's good. Now, DeWalt is 9% of the total quantity of items sold, it's 36% of our revenue. Great. But what is that telling you? Is your value in DeWalt? Does it make sense that that is the most highest performing based on revenue? Like if you look down along, again, we're just running through revenue in this instance, but you'll see Festool here. So it's just a brand. You'll see that it's 4% of your overall revenue. Now, you do see that it's also down 22% versus last year. Again, demo data here. But just in the instance of, right, that's only 4% versus the 36% in DeWalt, 48% in Bosch, 29% Milwaukee, 39% Stanley. Again, these numbers don't add up because it's dummy data. But just when you're looking at your own, question it. Does it make sense? Again, just in terms of this as well, it has very high views. It's 27% of your overall views on the site for the whole period, or it would be if this was real data. But it's only 4% of your revenue. That doesn't seem to make sense. Obviously we have some retailers here that have products and categories on the site as well, and they might say more information available, or they know in their heart and soul that it's a really expensive product. We have retailers here with products up to 3,000-4,000 euro for one line item. And some customers are just a bit nervous about that, so they might pick up the phone and ring the shop physically and then maybe place the order online, or place it offline, but always try to put it through online so that there's a record and it's going through. They'll get all their order confirmation emails and everything. And that would make sense as to why the views are high but the revenue is low. But other than that, okay, look at how many products you have online for that brand. Do you have more products available? Can you order more products? Is it competitive versus the industry leaders? Think about, is delivery a hindrance here? Are people wondering, okay, well, that's a large item. I have a bulky delivery fee. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll just go into the shop and collect it myself. Now, again, these examples may make sense internally, but not all the time. Look at your product description, your imagery. Again, just like I said, don't be afraid to question these elements in terms of all sections of the site, be it your homepage, be it your reporting. Look at it from an outside perspective. Again, this isn't something that you're going to be able to do continuously, but it is something that a lot of retailers actually forget to do once they go live. And once you're live for a while, you get caught up in all the never-ending list. So it's sometimes the simpler elements that can have the biggest impact. One other element that isn't live on this site because it is a demo site, as I mentioned, is your top search terms. So if you jump onto that element in your own website, you will see a list of terms here. So this is the top items searched within your site. I find this really interesting actually, and I did push for this in terms of the development when the development was being done. Coming from a pharmacy background myself, I know the strengths of getting permission to get brands online, and having a bit of a push to see, or a bit of a backup, I suppose, is more of the word I'm looking for. A bit of reassurance that, okay, people are actually looking for this. Be that something that you have physically in the shop that you can't sell online, but might give you the potential to sell online. Be it something that you have kind of heard about, been in contact with somebody about, but haven't made the commitment to stocking yet. If people are actually looking for that, you will see this in this report. It'll give you the search term down the left-hand side, and it'll give you the amount of times it has been searched as well. So some of you might be on your own sites as we're going through this webinar, and if you are, you probably have a lot more information there than I do now because I have none. And again, you can export all of these reports. You can export this report and use it in a conversation with somebody if that's an area you want to go down. If it's about getting permission to get something online, or if it's about thinking about getting a new brand into the store, this report can be extremely helpful. In terms of what I wanted to go through today, that is the majority of it. Hopefully it wasn't too rushed. Hopefully you got something from it. If you are sitting there and are wondering, okay, I'm spotting things as she's going through this, the reports, and as I'm going through my own reports on screen, and you are thinking, okay, I can't make sense, or I can't make recommendations, or I'm not sure how to optimize best on this. Or if you know you have a goal for this time next year and you're not sure how to get to it, please reach out to us. We're more than willing to get calls in the diary. I know we've been speaking to some of you very recently. September is looking quite good for us in terms of our diaries and getting meetings scheduled. It's a real back to school atmosphere now. Just like January is a fresh start, September can sometimes be the time for it too. I'm also aware that a lot of you are planning for peak, as I mentioned. So if there is anything at all that we can support you on in terms of peak, even outside of analytics, we are happy to have conversations around that. Be it around, marketing advice, on-site advice. If there's anything at all, please reach out to us. If you have any feedback on today's session, if there was stuff you liked about the session, if there was stuff that you would have liked to see more of, please email me directly as well. I'm happy to have a conversation with you if there's something you want to get into more detail on, or if there is something else that you were looking for that I might not have covered today in any element or area that we work with you on. I'm happy to do that too. I'm not sure if there was any questions. I'll just double check if anybody has any questions. Please feel free to pop them in. If not, I will be following up with the let me just have a question here. So the question is, can we set up reports that will gather this data or data we need that is delivered to our inbox at weekly, monthly, etc.? This isn't something that's currently available with AB Commerce. I know Google Analytics does do it. I think GA4 still does it as well. It's not something that we currently offer, but it is something that has been discussed internally that ideally is where we would like to see the analytics developing into. We do have some extra plans going on in the background for the analytics as well, but I suppose it's just such a precious element to everybody's site that we do like to make sure that it's done correctly and that it's sensitive and it's exactly what we need from our reporting as well. So it is definitely something that I'll take back internally. And that was Sean. Thanks, Sean. Great. Okay, we can leave it there. As I said, I know sometimes even myself when I'm on webinars or anything like that, I'm a bit slow to pop anything into the chat or into Q&A. So if there's anything specific, and again, obviously I know data is very sensitive. So if you want to contact us directly, I'm happy to have a conversation around that directly with you for any elements. There's just another typing here, so I'll just wait just in case it's another question. Okay, if everybody's okay with that. And again, as I mentioned, if anybody has any feedback, we would be delighted to hear it. Oh, there's another question. Sorry, or there's somebody typing. Oh, thanks, Zoe. Thank you all for coming. And we're hoping to run another one in another couple of weeks in another area. So again, if there's an area that you'd like to be covered across the board for any of these sessions, please let us know. I suppose sometimes it is good to have specific conversations directly with our retailers, but sometimes it's good to get a few of you online as well and just get the basics in place. Have a lovely Thursday. Hopefully the weather is as nice where you are as it is in Kerry. And we will be in contact soon. Thank you.